And then I think like broadly on the stack, people are thinking about the stack too narrowly. I think this idea of execution, data availability, and settlement is like really small. When you think about this, when you think about the modular stack, we're going to see a ton of different types of infra providers be inserted into the rollup frameworks and RaaSes, where you'll have like data indexing, RPCs, proof verification, proof generation, shared sequencers, interoperability providers out of the box. And you'll kind of get like this expansion of the modular stack as we know it from like three core parts to like 5 to 8, and then on to like 10, 12 and more. And I think that, yeah, I think that's kind of like the next step in the stack. And I expect a lot of like the RaaS providers to offer more and more of these individual parts so that when I go and choose to build a chain, I can actually choose a variety of different options from, 6 or 7 different key parts of the stack. And so I'm kind of betting on quite a few of those players to do well, and to have their technology and their infrastructure be adopted amongst the broader stack itself.
No, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think what we are seeing, um, that lots and lots of innovation needs to happen from the RaaS platform perspective. So like when we started RaaS about a year back, um, initially the focus was to how to bring in automation to set up the rollup, how to bring in extensive set of configurations, which is aligned for different use cases or different use case categories, and then set up an infrastructure which with all the core components as well as some of the native components which are pretty much required by everyone. But now we have got into our phase two, and in phase two the idea is to bring in more native integrations, because typically what happens is when somebody launches on a public chain like Ethereum or Polygon POS, it's easy because you find all the tools that are necessary. If you want to use data indexing, you can simply go to one place. If you want to use account abstraction, you can go to Alchemy or Biconomy. They're already supporting most of the public chains, right? So it's simply you can subscribe, take the API endpoints, and start using it. But when you're launching your own rollup, you need to actually get into relationship. You need to start with the conversation, strike a deal, and then add the support. And they are also right now, most of the established players, whether it be layer zero on interop side or Chainlink, or they are not ready to support custom rollups, right? Because and I think a lot of automation needs to happen here, so that whenever a new custom rollup adds, and if they want to, let's say, add account abstraction, it can be natively available, like what we have seen in Hyperchain. So they have native AA, but then it needs to happen with other rollup stacks as well. And we are taking a lot of bringing a lot of exciting products in this space, whether it be on the explorer side or data indexing or account abstraction, either partnering with third parties and natively integrating them into our rollup stack, the rollup as a service stack, or building some of the core components to bring that. And I think again the idea is to bring in faster time to market, a much better user experience from a rollup perspective, so that startups don't feel the heat. And the way I believe it, launching a rollup should be as simple as deploying a smart contract. It should be that easy. And then only we are going to see that more and more developers are start going to move to the rollups. And of course, then cost is another constraint. But there again, I believe this modularity is going to help, because once you break down the rollup infra, like, you break down the DA, and there's a transaction-led pricing. You break down provers. Now we have partners like Jivalet or Sindri who are bringing shared provers, right? So again, you reduce the cost of, so a lot of cost of running a rollup will eventually translate into a transaction-led pricing. And then we are going to see it's pretty much similar to the way smart contracts on public chains work. You're paying just for the gas fee. I think the same is going to, we are seeing that already started happening. And I think in the next 6 months to 1 year, we are going to see many, many more players enter and make it a completely transaction-led based rollup ecosystem. Yeah, so I think pretty exciting. So one more thing on DA side. So one is the rollup, but then Validium itself is a very interesting proposition. And if you see Volition, which is a mix of rollup and Validium, where you can have a decision based on whether what part of the data needs to be off chain versus on chain,